Hello everybody, welcome to a brand new video. Today we're going to be talking about Game Grumps, more specifically Dan from Game Grumps. Yesterday, the 21st of March, Game Grumps is trending on Twitter. And when anything trends on Twitter, you gotta look at it because it's not really for a good reason. The reason Game Grumps were trending on Twitter was because allegations about Dan have been coming out about how he was apparently grooming younger fans and getting into sexual relationships with them. Now, this came to light on a thread on Reddit, and it's basically telling the story about this person's relationship, giving us evidence on what exactly happened. So we're going to take a look at the evidence. We're going to take a look at the Reddit post. And when you look at it, it's kind of like, it's a bit of a gray area, but at the same time it's not. And we're going to explain that in a little bit here. But let's just go into the Reddit post. So basically this post is telling us how over the last year or so, there have apparently been female fans that have been coming out, telling their stories about how, Dan was like, I guess, taking advantage of them and grooming them. And we now have a story presented with evidence, and the evidence shows that Dan was in contact with this person at the age of 17, and then it later on grew into a more sexual relationship, I guess. They even have a video sent from Dan, and I'm not going to play the video, but basically the video just, he's recording his hotel. He's like, whoa, check out the bathtub. This is a wacky bathtub. I wish you were here so we can frick in it or whatever. We also have prior text messages from them, just kind of clarifying when this started and when, like, how this all happened. But if you take a look at the dates and what happened and what's going on, you can pretty much see that anything sexual related that happened when this person was an adult, well over the age of 18. So here we have a text between Dan and this girl. It's a pretty tamed conversation. Nothing sexual about it. No implications or anything like that. Basically, we have here the person's like, "Oh my goodness, you should tour in my town so I can come to your shows." And then he's like, "Oh, I'm actually planning on coming there, early 2014. Hopefully, I'll see you there, and I'll keep you posted." Now, this conversation did happen when the person was 17. As you can see the date here, September 13th, this person was 17. And here we have another response here. I believe this is Dan. I'm not entirely sure because the name is blurred out with the profile picture. But I assume this is a DM or something like that. And it's basically, I think it's Dan wishing this person a happy 18th birthday. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with that. It's somebody's birthday. That's just a nice thing to do. Just wish them a happy birthday. We all do it. And this next text we have here is the text that contains that video where Dan is, saying, "Oh, hope you were here so we could frick in the tub." And we have here the conversation. My God, I've never seen something so beautiful. Fancy. I really wish I was there too. Shit. And then he's like, "If you're comfortable with the idea, you should send me a little video saying you like to fudge in the tub." Or what, or that'll make things easier. Teehee. Now these are the only texts presented, and with this evidence we have here, we can clearly see that I wouldn't really call this grooming exactly. If you take a look at the first two texts, we have texts here that are from 2013 when the person was 17, turning 18. As you can see, the first text was when she was 17, and a month later, as you can see, October 2013, the person just turned 18 years old. Now this text here with the video and the wanting to frick is actually from 2017, 4 years later, when the person is 22 years old. So with the evidence presented here, we can clearly see that it looks like no form of like sexting or sexual desire from Dan is being presented. I'm told the person is well over 18 and is actually the age of 22. If this was a real case of grooming, the person would have clearly sent a text like that was much earlier in this timeline. Like if they shared a text from Dan when the person was like, oh, she just turned 18, and 2 weeks later, here he is, putting sexual implications in the messages he's sending. But from the evidence we have here, we can see that it looks like any form of like sexting or like sexual like implications again didn't really start until she was much older, or at least past 18. And now I'm getting a little skeptical about the whole situation because if you look at the Reddit post and the wording, about the situation, kind of summarizing it, it doesn't really make any sense. This bottom little paragraph here kind of explains everything that's happening, and it says, her experience with Dan matches the pattern of the girls that have come forward. While she was underage, she privately contacted him as a fan and more than happily engaged in conversation. As the years went by, she became of legal age. Their conversation turned into sex and eventually led them meeting backstage at a Game Grumps live show or sexual activity occurred. A couple weeks later, all contact from Dan ceased. Now, again, we have a presented timeline of when we can assume this all happened, apparently. So it looks like this happened when the person was, again, 18. As he said, early 2014, he was potentially touring there. And if he did, I'm not entirely sure, but let's say he did, right? So he toured there, the girl was there, they met up, they started talking, and then apparently it says a few weeks later, all contact was ceased. But then we have a text here from 4 years later. So to me, it doesn't really seem like things are kind of adding up here with this person's story. Now, whether this is from the actual victim or just the person, reporting it on Reddit, I don't really know, but we still have evidence here that it isn't actually any form of grooming, really, or pedophilia whatsoever, in my opinion. I mean, it's definitely not pedophilia because, the person's over 18 at this point. But again, what we were presented, I don't really see anything related to grooming, really. It looks like the one text we had from when she was 17, nothing was really going on, no implications. It looked completely platonic, and it was just, Dan being, nice and friendly to one of his fans. Now, I might have noticed at the bottom where it says this little edit, and there's another post from a couple of other apparent victims. I looked at it, I didn't really see any clear evidence, just kind of statements from the person with no, like, evidence or, like, text or anything to back it up, so I'm not really going to go into it. And the one that does really have backing to it doesn't really have much going for it, but even if we talked about it, it doesn't really pertain to this topic because it's not grooming. The person was well over 18. The person was like probably, I want to say like 20 something. I think the age of the person was like 28 when I looked it up. And that was for like an article or something that was from 2017. So it's kind of, this argument is kind of mute to me now because it doesn't really deal with what we're talking about. Now, currently, Dan has not come out and made a statement about any of these, accusations made on him. And I feel like we might see something in the future. And hopefully we do so we can clear this up and, get a little bit more background on the situation. But there are a lot of people on Twitter that have kind of made up their minds in a way. But from what I read, it doesn't really look like people kind of looked into this as I did. Kind of, piece things together in a proper manner. And again, I don't really call this grooming in particular. Again, what we were presented when the person was a minor doesn't look like there's any form of sexting or sexual implications from Dan. It looked like anything sexual started when the person was well over 18. So calling it grooming, I don't think it's grooming. In all honesty, that doesn't mean you can't have your opinions on it. If you want to say he's a creep or something like that, I mean, I wouldn't disagree, but I wouldn't really agree. I personally think it kind of is weird when a YouTuber, a streamer, or somebody, a celebrity, has like relations with a fan. It's just kind of weird to me. And if you want to call him a creep or whatever, that's fine. But if you're gonna, call him a groomer, at least know the story. Because again, when you look at it, it doesn't really seem like a case of grooming to me. But there are a lot of people on Twitter that are calling this, a case of grooming, which again is a criminal offense. So people should kind of be careful when they say that. This is a serious accusation. This isn't just some internet drama that could lead to them being canceled. This is, internet drama that can turn into a potential crime if it gets, too big and too much attention potentially. But I think I'm going to end this video here. So, again, with the stuff we have presented, I don't really think I'd call this grooming. Would I call it a little weird? Yeah, I would. Again, I gave my opinion. I don't really think that creators should have this kind of relationship with the fan. They could be friendly, whatever, but going this far is a little odd to me. But regardless, it looks like from what we're giving, this isn't really a case of grooming, but it is a little bit of a gray area. And hopefully we get some more evidence or we get a statement from Dan, clearing things up. And if, something like this does happen, I will probably, talk about it on the channel. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you guys are new, hit that sub button. Check the links in the description for my Twitter and Twitch where you can follow me there and all that jazz. And don't forget to hit the little bell or whatever. And yeah, I'll see you guys later.